All right, welcome in. It is a SoCal Saturday Preakness week. Barry Spears, I'm Louie Barry. So glad you decided to make us part of your horse racing weekend. A slate of 10 races, a very cool stakes race at the end of the day going down the hill in the Mizdirection as well. So fun opportunity. And boy, Barry, there are a couple of these we were just talking off air on this. Uh, Prices maybe. I don't know what to do with some of these races. Good afternoon, sir. I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun trying to figure it out at least. Unmute yourself, brother. There you go.
If there's any chance of any kind of prices, it'll be in this card. I mean, there's a lot going on, a lot not going on, and you might have to let your freak flag fly in order to hit something.
A little freak flag talk here. Of course, not freaky is our friends at Amwager and Amwager.com. Great betting platform designed by horse players, for horse players, and of course, speed, power, top tier features, everything from that win bet to your pick six, whatever you are playing. They've got the tools to help you win with our friends at Amwager. Sign up right now. 100% deposit match up to $150. Preakness $150 this weekend. Of course, they want you to get in on the action. You need an edge. You need Amwager. So really, really cool promotions going on with them this weekend, including no takeout on your Preakness win bet. How about that? Barry Spears, I know you like that.
I'm down with that. Yeah.
They will pay your takeout on the Preakness race itself. So go ahead and make sure you check that out. But we are, of course, talking California. We do that every week right here on this program. Thank you so much for me. Tomorrow at Santa Anita is a maiden special weight, $60,000 in the kitty here. This is for fillies and mares, 3, 4, and 5 years old, going a mile and an eighth on the turf course. Here we have a 9-5 favorite in the 2 horse here that you and I are both going to try to beat here, Barry. Where did you land in this one?
Yeah, I landed on number 5, Prestige Function. I just thought that the favorite was very, very shaky. Likes to finish second all the time. I don't think that trend's gonna not continue. And first race of the day might be a good time to take a shot downfield with a horse like the 5. Had a nice little run to break or close to breaking the maiden first time out, stretching out this time for Peter Urton, who does okay doing this and gets Ayuso, and I just thought he might be a little bit better with the stretch out.
I love that horse. I have it second in my handicapping. Your second horse is the 8, who's my top here, Runyon Canyon. Hector Barris gets them out here. This is going to be second off the layoff for this horse. Ran June last year, came back in March this year, and frankly was right there and was part of the race the entire time. 6 horse field there, has to step into 9, but I thought did some good running at the end. Like I said, coming off the second off the layoff here in this spot for Simon Callahan should give this horse a reasonable shot as well. It's not a great angle for him, and he hasn't had a good start to the year. But I think this horse, two second place finishes and 3 lifetime runs at the distance, is probably due for a breakthrough. But I totally agree about Prestige Function out of the 5 hole here. Like you mentioned, Urton and Ayuso in that spot. I think makes a lot of sense stretching out, because this one just, and always dreaming on the sire side, Warfront on the damn side. This is a horse that's probably going to want more distance. They paid a lot of money for this horse in a May sale last year, and so I'm hopeful that one will get it done as well. I do have the 2 third in my handicapping, but frankly, that's because this is a horse that's run 8 times and hit the board 6 of them. So this is a horse very comfortable finishing in the top 2 of races, top 3 of races, but I don't think we'll get it done this Saturday there at Santa Anita. Race 2, though, will follow, of course, and this is a $25,000 claimer going 6 furlongs on the dirt here for 3-year-olds. Ended up being a nice, fun field here. A couple of big favorites here, Barry, in the 6 and the 1. You and I have those 2 horses on top in flipped order. I'll go first here because I have the 1 on top here, 9-5 Panuco. Comes out of the claiming ranks at the $32,000 ranks, having run second twice. That last time this horse was in at this level, went ahead and won both at this distance, with this jock, with the weight, all of those things. And so I do think, Barry, that the 1 Panuco is set up well. Why do you like Winds of Freedom on top here?
It was really kind of splitting hairs, deciding between 2 of these 2 horses. I just chose a 6 because of the post position. It's a little bit better.
Okay.
Can see everything inside, and this horse is pretty quick. So I expect those 2 to really run 1-2 around the whole track.
Yeah, Winds of Freedom, 2 times hitting the board, including a win over 4 races this year. Been running in similar company to Panuco, who has hit the board 3 times in 4 races this year with 1 win as well. So should be interesting between those 2. We're looking at a sequence here very early on where race 5 is going to come up as a good luck picking a winner in that one kind of race. If we play a longer sequence here, pick 4 starts here, for example, is this one where we use the 1 and the 6 and we kind of just move on?
I believe so. Yeah, they
Okay.
they look much better than everybody else. I mean, you're probably going to have to kind of throw one downfield later in that sequence, but there may be an opportunity to do that.
I thought it was interesting in here that Cardinal Spirit, who was placed first through disqualification last out in a maiden 32, you have, or I have as my third horse here, the 5, I think is an interesting one. You're using a different one on a Turf Paradise in your third for Cascabel in this spot, coming out of a Turf Paradise race. First time in with Alfredo Marquez, who's won 20% of his recent entries that way. Should be interesting trying to figure out that third spot. But I think the real interesting thing that could happen here, Barry, is one of the favorites doesn't come second, and you could play a try kind of play where you pick either the 1 or the 6, you put them on top, and then avoid those 2 horses in that second spot. Try to get some value there here in race 2 at Santa Anita. We move on to race 3. This will be on the dirt again. This is one of those Northern California sort of races, and God bless them, they've been filling the gate there at Santa Anita for us. As we go along, an $8,000 claimer here, going a mile, $60,000 in the kitty for this one. This is for 3-year-olds and up. Again, those Northern California racing based horses as well. Rare time, Barry, where I get to say I'm 1, 2, 3 in this race. Where did you land in race 3 at Santa Anita?
I landed with the 4 Trinidad on top. I just thought this horse off the claim might have a little bit of a pace edge on these horses and get good position. These races are kind of tough because a lot of these horses really don't want to go to the lead all the time, and they're in and out of form. So it makes for wacky results at times, but it seems like Trinidad as a whole body of work has been pretty consistent in the Beyer speed figures, and I think that goes a long way with these horses coming in and out of form. One horse of note who ran last week, who I picked, the 7 Mom's Kiddo, I am cold on this week for sure.
Okay, all right. Not going to show up in your handicapping. Like I said, I went 1, 2, 3. Devil in the Bluegrass is the 1 horse here. Tyler Bays gets them out. One last time out in a non-2 lifer. Goes to the Steve Bryant barn here. I'm not going to lie, I don't know anything about Steve Bryant. So, like I said, 9 starts this year, but has won one of them. So I'm hopeful that this horse staying at this kind of level. Between the 5 and the 8s, Barry, I don't think that we've seen a big quality difference between those kinds of races. And so winning at the 5 non-2, I think at the 8 non-2 should be a player again. It's fun to watch these ones, though, Barry, because it has a feeling of almost like trotters, where we see these horses a little bit more often. We get to see them, every 2-3 weeks, something like that. We get to know them a little bit that way. Doesn't make it any easier on the handicapping, though, does it?
No, definitely not. It's kind of cool because you see these horses every week and they kind of beat each other every week. So it's always a
Right.
different kind of puzzle. The distances change and they're trying different things also to see where they fit in the big scheme of things. So it does make for interesting racing.
One that I'm interested in this spot, El Diamante Negro will break from the 3. Giovanni Franco gets the ride for Samuel Calvario. This is one that tried $50,000 starter allowance last time, and before that, a $50,000 optional claimer. But won at Pleasanton going a mile 70 in a maiden 12.5. I wonder if this isn't just the right distance, number 1, and number 2, the right kind of class for this horse, Barry. So I put that one third in my handicapping, but I think has a legitimate shot. If he can run back to that maiden form we saw at Pleasanton before, I think he can have a real shot in this field as well. So it should be an
Yeah,
interesting one early in the card here. I think just as a
absolutely.
long shot here. And look, we're talking about an $8,000 claimer. I mean, this is not, we're not we're not trying to pick out the Preakness winner here. So I do think a horse like that, I've seen way stranger things. And frankly, one of the angles I
Exactly.
really like here is the amount of time off out of the Calvario barn. He hits at 18% with this kind of layoff. He's really good at picking spots for his horses to land. And look, they bred this one for $2,000. Throwing it in an $8,000 claimer is no offense to this horse at all. Gelded son of Gigi Rider, who I've never heard of. And so it's one of those for sure that I'm not worried about. But I do think El Diamante Negro has a long shot. An interesting play here. In race 4, again, this is SoCal Saturday presented by AmWager and AmWager.com. 100% deposit match right now for new customers up to $150 live in California as we speak. So if you are looking for a place to land on Preakness weekend, check out our friends at AmWager and AmWager.com. Race 4 is another claimer. We're going flat 6.5 furlongs on the turf course here. So using that full shoot for this one. These are fillies and mares 3 and up who have never won 3 races. And the claiming price, of course, is $30,000 here. Barry, I'll let you go first in race 4 here. Did you like the chalk here? Or who'd you land on?
I landed on who I think probably will be the chalk, and Kitty Katana, the 5. Just major class relief here,
Yep.
and it should get the job done against these types. It's amazing that this horse is eligible for this condition, given the body of work, how much this horse has won over her career. But she is, and she kind of looks like a standout. So we're going with the
Okay.
5 on top.
Interesting. I landed on Vegas Love, the 2 horse here. Phil D'Amato, second time out in his barn. Or first time out, I should say, excuse me. Second off the layoff here, 19% rate for him. Comes out of the Billy Moore bar. This horse was running in very different spots than this one in Belterra, different places in Ohio. But this is a daughter of Cupid in this case, in that Tappet line. They tried her sprinting last out at Santa Anita, ran a good third, first time ever on turf and angle. I really like Barry a second time trying a surface, especially if the trainer feels compelled to do so. And in this case, I think Vegas Love, I think that 6-1 price is probably what we're going to get. Kazushi Kimura gets the mount here as he did last time. I thought the horse kind of hung last time and lost second. That horse can kind of push through second off the layoff here and be better. I'll take that 6-1 all day. I know you have the 2 in your second spot in your handicapping, but you landed on Free and Humble in the third spot. What do you like about her?
Kind of the best of the rest. Should be passing horses late and might get up for a share of this, especially on the cutback. That's usually a good thing. But the one thing about Vegas Love is when horses first time go on the surface, I treat it as the baseline and look at how everybody else did on their baseline run on that particular surface. And there's really most horses go up from there. So
Right.
having that 72 buyer as a baseline is pretty good in comparison to what everybody else is doing. And I thought that would go a long way in this event. But unfortunately, it draws Kitty Katana in here, and I just think that horse is too tough.
Ace's Baby is one in here that's interesting to me as well. Trying turf for the third time, I thought ran really well last time out, but before that, at 6.5, I think wants more of like a 7 furlong type of turf race. They just don't exist, right? And so
None.
I think the 6.5 will be a little better for the Jeff Mullins trainee here. He and Juan Hernandez are hitting at 41% at Santa Anita right now, so I just can't look
Oof.
past those kinds of numbers at this point. So, and by the way, that includes this horse who has not won as part of that 41%. So I do wonder if this horse can't get into that kind of form. This daughter of Stanford. How about that? If you could have a Cal bred, you name him after Stanford. You understand me? That's how that goes.
Yeah, that
Sounds
makes sense.
little bougie. I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay though. It's the Harvard of the West, so we're good.
I thought this was a public school show, but I guess I was wrong. He's Barry Spears. I'm Louie Barry, hanging out with you. This is SoCal Saturday ahead of Mizdirection Day out there at Santa Anita Park. That'll be the final race we talk about on the card here. Race 5. Barry, I have been doing this for a long time, and it has been, I've seen lots of different kinds of races, and might be a nickel claimer at Turfway. It might be, a Louisiana bred race down at Fairgrounds. It might be, an Indiana bred quarter horse race at Horseshoe Indianapolis. It could be any of those things. And then we arrive at race 5 on May 17, 2025 at Santa Anita Park. Barry, I looked at this race for like 20 minutes. I didn't know what to do. I moved on to the next race. And then when I had to come back to this race, I cursed myself for not just writing something down the first time we went through. If you had to give yourself a confidence rating from 0 to 1,000, okay, what would you give yourself as far as confidence on this race?
So 0 being the least confident, or
Correct. Yes.
all right,
Least.
probably about a negative 1,000 because I honestly almost put it to the dartboard and just like, there you go.
Here's what's interesting. We both say that, but we both landed on the same top 2 horses. Now, in different orders, okay? So you went 8-3, I went 3-8. I'm telling everyone listening right now or watching, or however you're hanging out with us, thanks for spending part of your Friday with us. Fade the bleep out of those horses. We have no idea what we're talking about. Just move on with it. But go ahead, man. I'm going to let you make the case for the 8 here.
I was going to say what I tried to do is usually in these kind of races, this is a maiden race, I gravitate to the horses that haven't run that much.
Yep.
Of the horses that haven't run all that much, less than 3 starts, the 8 ran the best. So that's where we are.
I have him too, but his last race was 4.5 furlongs. He has to go 8 here.
That's okay.
I know, but I hope that this son of Conquest Fahrenheit, of course he is, can do get the mile. But I mean, just even going 1,000 yards before was too much for this horse. So Mary, I really don't know what to do. I put the 3 on top here. No, I agree with you. I'm hoping we get back to the Pleasanton form. What a thing to say out loud. That he had 2 back in a maiden 8 where he finished third, but he did a lot of the work. This is a horse, at least, Barry, that I could look at on the form and say, he's been in the race every single time. He just runs out of time when he gets to a mile. If this horse were running at 7 furlongs, if this happened to be a 7 furlong race somehow, Barry, I think I would point to him over and over and over again, and I would point to the 8 over and over and over again on the outside as the ones you have to use here. But the 3 I'll land on just because he has hit the board a bunch of times. I thought his last race was good. He just ran out of gas. Who knows? I mean,
I'll
just
say
trying
this
to
about this race. I think
okay.
we would be able to outfinish these horses in the stretch of this race.
Some of them, yeah, some of them.
I think we could pass a few late.
All right, that's our analysis of race 5. I don't think we have anything else to say. I
Nah.
thank you, Amwager, for having us, but there's nothing else to say. We move on to race 6. This is a maiden special. It's a state bred maiden special, but it's 6.5 furlongs again, flat turf course here out there at Santa Anita, $60,000 in the kitty here for this one. And Barry, I will go first. And I think if he draws in, the 13 will be the horse to beat in this race. Curlin Command is on the outside. Armando Ayuso for Brendan Galvin. This one last out in state bred company, finished second. Before that, finished second. We get back to Armando here, and I hope people are paying attention. But Armando Ayuso right now is hitting at 20% at Santa Anita Park. And this is a guy, when he was at Golden Gate Fields, a lot of us would lean on in those golden hour wagers and different things. Really, really talented guy. It's nice to see him getting better mounts now, Barry, because I think people are finding out Armando Ayuso could ride, man. He can ride a little bit. And unfortunately for Brendan Galvin, the two of them have not connected on a winner yet. But I do think this horse coming into this spot has been running well. I think the training has been really, really good over the Topeka course as well. I think that horse on the outside, if he draws in, will be my play in this race. And I think 9 is who's about the price we're going to get as well. You landed on the 10 here, 12-1, High Plains Drifter for Mike Pipey and Orantes here. Why do you like him?
I think this horse was kind of getting into good form before something happened. I think this horse may have gotten an injury in that last race on September 27th. Not to mention a horrible trip. Was basically 4 wide the whole way and never really had a shot. But before that, in August, this horse ran a really good race that stacks up pretty well with these. And I think this horse off the layoff can get back to that. And with the experience that this horse has, getting a little bit of a weight break with the apprentice, I'll put this one in the mix and put this one on top at a price.
Interesting at a price for sure. You have the 6th in the second spot here. That will be the second time starter in Bonneville Jim. This one, I understand the angle completely. Ran in a maiden special at the state bred level before. It was in March. A little bit of time off here for Jeff Mullins. No sweat there, 17% in that angle as well. So Bonneville Jim, I think, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, kind of the most logical horse in this field. Based on his first run, how the trainer does with these kind of horses, attracts top rider. This is the very logical horse, and I think he'll run that way. Given all of the first time starters to the inside and everything, that experience edge will go a long way and make a difference.
You mentioned horses to the inside. I think Titanic Thompson, the morning line favorite here for Antonio Fresu Stimiati, is really interesting because if you think about this horse this way, he's run twice already. The first race was down the hill in the Echo Eddy. So they started this horse, first start ever in a stakes race down the hill. And so if we throw a line through that and just forget it happened, and we look at his second start, it's on the flat, it's going 6 furlongs on the grass. He gets a little bit more distance here, and I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah, why not?
If we look at that as a first start, right, and we think, oh, okay, now he knows how to run over flat ground, whatever. I think he looks a lot more like Bonneville Jim in that case. Plus, he's not off the kind of layoff that Bonneville Jim is, and that was, by the way, they ran him back in 14 days. Now he gets about a month off. I think this makes a lot of sense out of the Miani barn.
Yeah, I mean, this horse has talent. Showed some speed, and we don't know what we're going to get from those first time starters and even the outside horse with Raylu. is sort of interesting. I know Leonard Powell doesn't do too much with first time starters, but he has horses that run. So we'll see.
Yeah, I like Smiling Capote next to him, 15 to 1. Drain Van Dyke gets the mount here for Brian Corner, who hits at 18%. It's a limited sample size with first time starters, but this horse has been working well on the dirt, but Smiling Tiger on the sire side of things. And so I'm looking for a horse that's going to like the turf here. Once in a while, we've seen crazier things than this, Barry, where a horse just gets the lead and just runs them off. I think Smiling Capote is an absolute candidate here, but I know that you've got a different one in Brahms Mendelssohn, a second time starter who ran at Del Mar in November that you're interested in as well.
Yeah, I don't think that race that horse ran back in November was all that bad. The
Mm.
field was okay and kind of live. The 11 Big Notion came out of that, who ran third that day. But, given the sire and what this horse kind of does, at least workout wise, seems like this horse has improved from that last race. I'll give him a shot to show up in the picture.
All right. Race 7 will follow, of course. This starts the late pick 4 at Santa Anita Park on Saturday. We're back on the dirt. This is an optional claimer for non two lifers going a mile, 61,000 in the purse here. Pretty good field here, man. I was pretty impressed with what showed up for this one, Barry. I landed on the 6 horse in this spot, and that is Touchdown Brown. 6 to 1 here. Armando Ayuso, the aforementioned Armando Ayuso, ran in a mile last out. We're going to draw a line through that one and forget that it ever happened and try to get back to the better form that we've seen in other races. Gets out of that 32 level, gets in for the claim price here. He qualifies for the claim, this 7-year-old son of Cairo Prince. I am very much hoping we get back to the form we saw in March and earlier out of this one. Where did you land on top of this spot?
In the same place,
How about
Touchdown
that?
Brown. I think, like you said, getting back to what this horse probably wants to do is the best thing. I think that horse was over his head the last couple, and you can kind of
Yep.
put your line through them. Uh, this is where he belongs. I'm wary of getting that 6 to 1. I think we're going to get much less, more like 3 to
Okay.
1. But
Okay.
still, I think this horse is the goods.
We both have 7. Kerry Golden, our top 3. I have him second. You have him third. Came out of a much better state bred run last time, finishing fourth, but only by 3/4 of a length. We saw a huge, blanket finish of 4 horses in that one. Before that second half length on the turf, before that third by 3 lengths, horse just hits the board, hits the board, hits the board. Can he break through in this spot? This might be the kind of field he can. Do you like Kerry Golden here?
I think this horse does have a shot, but I think the trip might compromise this horse a little bit, being way on the outside like this.
Okay.
Uh, and you can see the style of this horse kind of likes to press, and it's not always ideal to do that from the outside. But I think this horse is good enough and talented enough to hang around for a piece of this.
Race 8 will follow. Oh, you know what? Sorry, race 7. Let me keep going in this one. Neither of us have mentioned King of Clubs here. Antonio Fresu comes in 2 to 1, ran over the turf the last 2, out winning both of those. I was surprised to see this one get favoritism, Barry. Do you think the morning line maker is looking at just, hey, this is just the best horse in this field?
Um, Possibly. I just don't see it. But Touchdown Brown looks a lot better to me, and that's why I think that the 6 is going to get bet a lot more, and the odds on the 4 are going to go up. 4 might actually end up being third choice here. So we'll see how the betting goes.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting one too. We didn't talk about Wind Ribbon, who's also 5 to 2 in this spot. Does have a win this year. That was an optional claim, but was going 6 furlongs. I really am interested to see if there isn't a step into the mile where this horse has never won. That's just a little bit too much. He's been running at this level in the state bred kind of company as well. A little surprised to see him at 5 to 2. Wasn't one though that hit my handicapping in any way. The late pick 3 with the $3 late pick 3, 15% takeout, a bet that Barry and I both like very much, starts here in race 8. And of course, you can bet those pick 3s with our friends at AmWager, 100% sign up match right now for new customers. Get in right now, deposit match of up to $150. You need an edge, you need AmWager. Barry and I, very different on a 6 furlong turf sprint here in race 8, and allow its optional claimer, 61,000 in the kitty here. This is for 3 and up in this spot. I will let you go first, Barry. I went chalky, you did not.
No, I'm throwing one slightly downfield here and going with the 8 Daniels Magic. I think the class relief will be the biggest difference maker for this horse. He's been running against some really good horses like Motorius, Mucho de Oro, Irideo. I mean, his body of work is pretty decent. He ran a great race in the General Flash, even though he was up against it class wise, and tailed off a little on in that 80,000 optional claimer before the layoff. Looks like he's training well. Bullet on May 12th for this one. As a tightener, I think he's going to be right there. He's going to win this one.
I don't hate that. I went with the chalk, though, with Yakovlev, an Irish bred here. Comes out of an optional claiming win at a mile after following a claiming win at 6 furlongs. So, horse that's got 5 wins over the turf, trying to make it 3 for 3. What I really like, though, Barry, is the horse is 3 for 5 lifetime on the turf course at Santa Anita, 3 for 4 this year. And so I'm just following the form here. I'm not overthinking this one. I think Yakovlev, the most likely winner here. Wouldn't help our pick 3 very much if he is the one that comes through, but I do think he's got the best shot. In here, right next to him, Mystic Spirit, I do think is another interesting one for the same reasons you talked about with your top runner here. Drops back into more likely company here, more fitting company. Tried the dirt last time, was up the track a little bit, but before that has had good results on turf as well, including breaking his maiden at Santa Anita. So he is 1 for 2 lifetime. An 82 buyer last time he was on the mile course there in the state bred optional claimer, which he did win as well. So I do think it's a place where he's capable of winning. But I do wonder, are they going to choose a surface for this horse? Because he's now 5 runs on dirt. This will be his 4th run on turf, and he's sprinting here. I wonder if they can figure it out for him, but I do think he's live. I think I get an honest effort from him every time he's out. You laid it on the 6 in our Bucky Charm here. By the way, I think this exacta 8-6 would pay stacks if it comes through for you. This is one that's been up the track a little bit in state bred company, but drops in for the tag here. Is it class relief that you're looking at here?
No, I like this horse's allowance, state bred allowance when going 6.5 on the turf.
Yep.
I thought that was a really good race, and getting back to the turf makes a lot of sense. Training well. There's no reason this horse cannot compete with these. Again, what I was saying before about that baseline figure, the first time this horse runs, 86 is a great baseline figure. And to me, if he goes up, which most horses improve, he should be right there with these.
It's
almost picked him on top. I just didn't think he had the experience.
Okay. And then you've got the one horse in your 3rd spot here, Kangaroo Court. Wanted to mention this one because it's 10 to 1, comes off the hill in a 3rd place finish last out, but has shown some flashes going 6 and 6.5 on the dirt. Is trying turf only for the 2nd time here. I do like that angle. You know that 2nd time trying to surface.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this horse might shake loose and be lone speed. They're going to have to run this horse down. I see another horse in Mystic Spirit who has a lot of 1s on the page, but he was going longer. And I think Kangaroo Court is quick in general, and they're going to step on the gas. That's what Raylu does. So, I mean, I can see this horse kind of speed and fade. That's why I use him for 3rd.
Okay, there you go. Yep, Raylu does keep them out here. Rode him last time, as Barry mentioned, 3rd in a 6.5 furlong turf sprint last out. As well, we move to the closer, or excuse me, to the late double, I should say. Excuse me. That's race 9 here at Santa Anita Park on Saturday. An optional claimer here, $20,000 in the purse. It's a $10,000 optional claimer here for 3-year-olds and up who have started for a claiming price of $8,000 or less. Are going a mile on the dirt here. Another one, Barry, where I thought you could probably try to chase a price. We both have the 8 and the 4 in the top 3 of our handicapping. I'll let you go first, though, because you have the 7 on top here at 8 to 1 in Kingmeister.
Yeah, I think the 7 was struggling to find his class level, and I think he's found it. And that should go a long way. I think the barn was really kind of searching to where this horse fits, and they got into it in that restricted optional 10, and went into an open optional 12 and 1. I think they figured out that this is where this horse belongs. That he's with his friends now, and he can beat these horses, I think, consistently. It's just a matter of what kind of form he's in. Right now, he's in great form, and I think he's going to take this event at a price.
I went chalk here. Nameless is right next to him. He's won 4, 5, 6 in a row. We could do the LeBron thing. Not 1, not 2. But yes, he has won 6 in a row here. 4 for 4 this year. Barry, I'm not in the business of betting against things that work, and this horse is working. It stands out to me that in a race with a $20,000 purse, Juan Hernandez is keeping them out. That stands out to me. as a not an accident, that he's willing to get a like a $600 check to ride this horse or whatever it might be. And so that one really does stand out to me. I have the 1 in the second spot here at Atomic Drop, another chalky choice here, but did run a 93 last out. But before that, even Barry, if this horse regresses to 2 back, he still runs an 80. I think that's really good in this field. And so I think that those two really do stand above for me. I'll let you talk about the 4 horse here, Zimba Warrior, that we both have in our handicapping as well.
Yeah, he's razor sharp. I mean, he's just showing up every time, and I got to go with the hot horse in a race like this, where it's kind of a wild card. Again, another competitive field where all these horses kind of look
Yep.
the same.
Yeah.
Zimba War has been running real well. Since he went into the Uranga barn, he's been razor sharp, and I think that continues. I want that exacta. Honestly, his last race, I want that same thing. That would be perfect.
There you go. King Meister Zimba Warrior did finish 1-2 in their last optional claimer at the $10,000 level. This one, of course, at the $8,000 level. I forgot to mention, but of course, the late double at Santa Anita, great bet as well. $5 minimum, but only 50% takeout. Very, very playable, and those pools get very they get active. It's good. It's a good bet there out there. But the Mizdirection will close the card. This is the main race on it. The Mizdirection is a 6.5 furlong down the hill sprint for fillies and mares 4 and up, $100,000 on the line in this one, Barry. And a course that you and I always disagree on in our handicapping, and no different here. You landed on the 3 horse and Uncorked. Why do you like Kazushi Kimura's chances here?
This is actually the horse I like most on the card, and I'm probably gonna bet pretty good. Because of the fact that this horse has been running with better horses all around. And the cutback makes all the difference. And I think the last race was kind of by design, that they put that horse into the race early in anticipation on the cutback down the hill. This horse should be flying down the lane. And I don't see anybody with that kind of kick, especially on the cutback. So the last workout on May 10th was a bullet on the synthetic. This horse is training well. All signs point to this horse running a big race on Saturday.
It's a terrible pick. I think that the 5 Venganza is a much better pick, which is why I put that horse on top of my thing. I love that you know that all of my jokes are just terrible, totally dry, not worth getting excited about kinds of dad jokes. But no, Venganza comes in, Antonio Fresu. This is a horse that's won twice going down the hill, and that's something I do value. They tried her in the Monrovia back in April. She was just 3rd best, but that was a day, Barry. Both of us picked Queen Maxima. Like, we were not expecting anyone except Queen Maxima to win that race. So if she runs back a little bit better than she did that day, I think she could absolutely bear it there. They tried her in the Royal Heroine last out, and I don't hate them for trying, try the mile after trying the hill. That's something we see a lot at Santa Anita. That was over good go. I think we'll get back to firm go here and down the hill, and I think she'll be ready to go in this spot. This Daughter of Curlin, it's interesting what happens, even with the breeding, suggesting 2 turns and dirt and all those things, horses that are good down the hill, that kind of thing. You mentioned good workouts on the Tapeta. This one just real sharp. Last work, 3 furlongs, 35 and change. I think this one's ready to go in the spot, and I love that 8-1 price. You landed on the 8 horse second in your capping here. This is a horse that hasn't gone down the hill yet, but did break its maiden going a mile last time. It did a bunch of the work on the front end. Fought in the stretch under Umberto Rispoli, and Armando picks up the mount here.
Yeah, I think that is a good thing that Armando picks up this mount, because I think this horse needs a little bit of patience and to, not get into the race that early, and kind of would like to see this horse get sort of the same trip that my top pick is. You want to sit a little bit and just fly down the lane. Cutting back from a mile is always ideal when going down the hill. And a lot of these horses are kind of out of form, like Ange and Ash. This horse has been running good. I don't know if this horse is at this level. So there's a spot where this horse can actually improve and cash a check here.
I've got Ange and Ash in my handicapping. I had that horse second, believe it or not, of all things. But I think the horse is due for a good performance. We've seen this horse down the hill win an allowance company, those kinds of things. Run 3rd in optional claiming company, and then in the Monrovia did finish 4th, right behind Venganza. Interested because the horse does have the experience now, and I think it's one that we can lean on at least a little bit. I landed on the 2 in the 3rd spot here in Miss Roberts, more of an obvious choice here. I think one that a lot of people will be using. Only 2 wins, though, in 16 attempts on the turf, but one of them is down the hill, Barry. And so I'm interested to see if this one can get back to that kind of form. You have the 5 in your handicapping as well, one that I already went over in Venganza. Did you see many of the same things that I did, essentially?
Absolutely the same thing. I thought this horse is very consistent in his running and in running style. Should be picking up the pieces late.
Ones that we didn't get into, including a winner last out in Granny Budgie, the 7 horse here, Thiago Pereira for Phil D'Amato. 2 wins in his last 3 races, excuse me, but 2 with Lasix. It has to drop the Lasix here. Would you be surprised if Granny Budgie gets it done?
No, actually, that horse has a buyer pattern that I like to key in on is when horses come back off of a layoff and they run a similar or better race or speed figure than they did when they went on the layoff. And this horse did that last time, and it indicates a breakthrough where this horse has improved and is going to get better than what they did even in the last race. So fits that pattern. It wouldn't surprise me if this horse runs a hole in the wind either with TJ Pereira up there.
All right, very cool promotion over with our friends at Amwager. They're paying, if you bet on the Preakness, they will pay the takeout rate if you hit the winner. How about that? So win bet on the Preakness, they will pay the takeout rate. I'm all over that. Who you got in the Preakness? Young Barry Spears. Who you got the Preakness today?
Oh, me.
Got?
Oh, River Thames. River Thames.
Okay.
I think this horse is, you know, those Florida races were a lot better than people had given it credit for. Burnham Square got sawed off by the Japanese horse and ruined his run, and he was about to make a real strong move like Sovereignty was. Sovereignty also was down there in Florida, and then that Bluegrass race was really good. I think River Thames needed that experience and should come out of that well. Hopefully he's catching the logical horse journalism on the way down, and he can beat him. That's really what I'm hoping for.
I like Gosger on the outside coming out of the Lexington. Yeah. I think that horse is really, really interesting. Something I liked a lot about how his running style is, he's going to be sitting mid-pack, Barry, and in that short stretch in Keeneland still was able to make up that distance. I think with a longer stretch here at Pimlico, he's going to be really, really good to go. And I think one that people are going to have to deal with on the outside. Obviously, I get Louis Saez too, which I adore in this spot. So I think Gosger might not win this thing, man, but I think Gosger at least gets a nice check here at Pimlico tomorrow. But there you go, man. Appreciate you jumping on as you always do here on SoCal Saturdays. Louie Rabeau, Barry Spears, hanging out, Amwager, amwager.com. Go get that $150 opportunity right now. Sign up right now, 100% match, up to $150 in honor of Preakness 150, and they will pay your takeout rate on the win bet as well and give you that boost if you do pick the winner in the Preakness. For Barry, I'm Louie. Wait, where's Barry? There's Barry. Barry's over there. I'm Louie. We'll be back next week on SoCal Saturdays. Thanks so much for joining us here, and happy Preakness, everybody.